It is 6 o'clock. Good evening. This is the regular business meeting of the Sandwich School Committee of February 11th, 2026. We will begin as always with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good evening. Just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and is being broadcast live by Sandwich Community Television via live stream at www.sandwichtv.org and Sandwich Community Television Education Channel number 8. I think it's the cleanest I've ever said that. It is also being audio recorded by the Sandwich Enterprise. And we will begin with our first public forum of the evening. Anybody like to come to public forum, then come forward. Have 5 minutes to speak about anything you like. It's not a back and forth. We just have to absorb it. But anybody like to come forward? Come right up. I think you already put your name and address in there. Thank you. I'll just give you kind of like a one minute sign when we hit the 4 minute mark for you. Excuse me, could you make sure the green light's on the... Oh, there you go.
There it is. Excuse me.
That's all right.
When an allegation involves minors, administrators don't get the luxury of public explanations. They don't get to share details. They don't get to defend themselves in the court of Facebook. They have to investigate carefully, follow state law and district policy, protect student privacy, and make decisions that balance accountability with the long-term educational futures of the children involved. This is incredibly difficult work, and it is work that will never satisfy everyone. But it is a job that must be done carefully, ethically, and with a focus on keeping students connected to the school, learning, and growth rather than pushing them towards permanent consequences for taking action during adolescence, a stage of life defined by incomplete judgment and developing emotional regulation. Supporting students does not mean ignoring harm. It means responding in ways that promote learning, repair, and future success. From everything I have observed over the years, that is precisely the mindset Ms. Nelson and Mr. Donovan bring to their work. It is easy, especially in the age of social media, for anger to grow louder than understanding. It is much harder and far more important to stand behind experienced, ethical educators who are doing the difficult work of guiding teenagers towards maturity while keeping them in school and on a path towards becoming better adults than they were yesterday. We can support students who feel harmed and support the educators doing the hard work of responding. Those two things are not opposites. I am in the high school constantly. I see the culture, I see the students holding doors, supporting classmates, engaging with teachers, and finding belonging through sports, arts, and clubs. The culture is not accidental. It reflects leadership. Jeannie Nelson and Sean Donovan have earned this community's trust through their dedicated service. They have certainly earned the support of the district leadership when they are carrying out one of the most challenging parts of their jobs. Please resist the pull of public outrage cycles and reaffirm that we are a district that believes in thoughtful process, student growth, and supporting the educators who show up every single day to serve our kids. I urge this committee and the Sandwich community to continue to stand behind Principal Nelson and Athletic Director Donovan. They are exceptional educators and administrators, and Sandwich is stronger, steadier, and better because they chose to serve here. The continued growth of the district depends on leaders like them. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come forward for public comment? Seeing none. Next up is review and act on our meeting minutes of, we'll do the regular session first, the regular meeting minutes of our meeting of January 28th, 2026?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from our regular meeting dated January 28th, 26, as presented.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Menendez, second by Ms. Goodwin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0. Next up is our executive session meeting minutes dated January 28th, 2026.
I make a motion that we approve the executive session meeting minutes as presented from January 28th, 2026.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Menendez, second by Ms. Goodwin. Any discussion? Just to clarify, these were where we approved 3 memorandums of agreement in executive session. One was, if you could correct me, so I don't have the notes right in front of me. If you could correct me on the 3 of them.
The 3 memorandum of agreements were first and foremost to adopt the new educator evaluation rubric. The second was just memorializing that we had a stipend in place going back to 2021 for Best Buddies Advisor. And the third one was recognition of instructional coaches as a position comparable to guidance director and department heads.
Thank you. I just pulled it up. So, any further discussion? See none? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0. Moving on to correspondence and announcements. I have none unless anybody has anything. Seeing none. Superintendent's update.
Can we, can I make the suggestion?
I will.
Have Madame Walsh here and just kind of to juggle the...
Certainly. We are going to adjust the agenda slightly. Madame Walsh is here to present a presentation to a proposed field trip to Montreal. Just out of courtesy of her time, we're going to jump her up to the front of the line here. Plus, it's probably more fun than anything else on that list. I'm sorry. Not to knock the superintendent or anything.
No. Bonsoir.
Mid-cycle progress.
Make sure the green light's on, please.
Oops. Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, boy.
Now, wait, and the reason the green light is allowed, because Sandwich Community Television is recording this, it just picks up the volume better for the recording.
Okay. It's okay. Tonight, I'm proposing a cultural and language immersion trip to Montreal in April 2027, a trip designed to transform French from something students study into something they actually live. This is not my first student travel experience. I have successfully led Sandwich students to Montreal, Paris, and Giverny, Normandy in the past. Each trip was safe, meaningful, and unforgettable for our students. Slide 2. The purpose of this trip is simple: to give students authentic opportunities to use French in the real world. Students will speak French outside the classroom, gain independence, broaden their worldview, and return more confident and motivated learners. Experiences like this increase engagement and bring visibility and pride to our language program and our district. Slide 3. Montreal is the ideal destination. It's a vibrant, safe, and affordable French-speaking city only a few hours away from home. And it's my home, so I know it by heart. In one location, students experience history, science, architecture, food, lots of poutine, and culture entirely in French. They will visit museums, cultural neighborhoods, and interact in authentic French settings throughout the trip, and will also have hands-on experience. Slide 4. The trip is planned for April vacation 2027 and will last 5 days and 4 nights. French 2 through French 4 high school students are invited. Seniors can also participate as long as they have completed the French 3 program. They are eligible. We are required a minimum of 20 students and maintain a ratio of 1 chaperone per 10 students. If number increase, supervision increases accordingly. This is a family-founded trip organized through an experienced, that's slide 5, experienced student travel company. The cost of $1,559 per student includes transportation by luxury coach, accommodations, guided cultural activities, breakfasts and dinners, security, and full-time tour support. The amount may vary if we don't meet the minimum participant required. Families will have manageable monthly payments options on an easy application. Importantly, there is no financial burden on the district. Slide 6. The French department has responsibly set aside a small reserve over time. This allows us to support 1 or 2 students who qualify for financial need, and if required, help cover the cost of a nurse for additional safety. Slide 7, we travel with a professional educational tour, West Coast company, providing 27 emergency support, structured itineraries, secure accommodations, and experienced guides. There is an overnight security at the hotel and constant supervision provided. Slide 8, this trip directly supports Massachusetts World Language Standards. Students will use French in authentic daily interactions, interpret real-world language and culture, connect classroom learning to life experience. Experiences like this stay with students for life. They may forget worksheets and quizzes and tests, but they will never forget the moment they realize they can truly communicate in another language. I'm excited to bring this opportunity to our students and our district. Thank you for your time, your support, and your considerations. Thank you.
Okay. I'll open it up for any questions. Dr. Miller,
Have you
move your
had
mic down a little bit.
Pardon?
Thank you.
Have you had experience working with this tour company before?
Yes, I did. It was called before Jump Street Tours.
Okay.
And I planned 3, they're situated in Montreal, and they're friends of mine, and they're like, the guy went away and opened his new company, and I know him, and it's very safe, and they're very, very good. Actually, the itinerary is very fun. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Just a question on the chaperones. I know you said it's 1 to 8. If they're, are the chaperones going to be other Sandwich High School
Oh, yeah.
teachers?
Oh, I have no problem with chaperones at Sandwich High School.
Well, there is a luxury coach, so
Oh, yeah, and the kids know all the songs. Every level have a different song, so we're all going to sing. Yeah. Yep. And my
sure-
chaperone is right there.
I jokingly said pre-meeting that these are my favorite agenda items that we ever see, because I think it's, I think it's an awesome, it's great that we have educators that want to provide this for our students. It's awesome that our students get an opportunity to do it. I have a senior that had the opportunity to go to Finland, which was, it's probably going to benefit her in ways she doesn't even realize now, other than just the experience of it.
It's just to see their eyes, too, when they, they're happy over there. It's fun.
I was at a high school reunion at Thanksgiving, and some of my friends were talking about the trip they went on senior year. The overseas trips like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does stay with people. Anyone else?
I applaud the advanced planning so families and students have a chance to save or work for
Yes.
their fees. Great.
And it's the lowest cost one I've seen.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Thank you for planning so far ahead. This is going to be
You're
wonderful.
welcome.
So you've done this trip before with Sandwich High School?
Yes.
What you said? Okay. And did you ever have trouble filling the 20?
Nope. The only one in France that we had to climb our luggage at the 6th floor, that was the only problem we had, the big luggage, but that's it.
They're young. Be fine.
Oh, no.
Any other questions from Madame Walsh? And I apologize for the Americanization of my last name. I go by Serault, but my grandparent, my dad's parents are both from Quebec, so my grandparents, so my dad's side. I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve this trip to Montreal in April of 2027 as presented tonight.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Menendez, second by Ms. Goodwin. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? You're good to go.
Thank you very much for your time.
Send us a postcard.
Yes, I will.
All right, fun's over. Superintendent's update.
Wait, my update is not going to be fascinating. All right. Couple items for consideration. What we do every year around this time, because give or take, we're right around the halfway point, we go through the action plans that were presented and approved by this committee. I believe it was in our first meeting of September, around September 6th of last year, and see how exactly we're progressing. So you should have in the packet a document that kind of in that far right column, I tried to color code it to show how we're progressing. But Dave and I would like to just pretty concisely go through the 7 strategic initiatives that we selected and kind of talk about some of the progress that we've made to date and then some of the future steps. So again, this is based upon our new strategic plan, Learning and Leading, with the 4 big rocks or strategic objectives around teaching and learning, supports for all students, climate and culture, and school and community, and then facilities and capital planning. And we chose these 7 strategic initiatives that you could see, implementing a formalized curriculum review cycle, ensuring that inclusive and culturally responsive practices are evident, teaching, communicating, and celebrating an upstander culture, collection and assessment of exit and school climate data, and then the 3 really around facilities, updating our district's capital plan, ensuring effective cleaning and maintenance of facilities and grounds, and then the continuation of school security drills and planning effort. So we'll start with the first.
Yeah, so we've made quite a bit of headway, and I'm grateful to the members of the Curriculum Review Cycle Committee, which represents administrators, central office team, and staff. We looked at several different models from across the Commonwealth and have really narrowed down, taking the best of what we've seen to have like initially a first draft of a curriculum review cycle. We've got, it'll be ready by the end of March for like a first pass to share out to the faculty. We're targeting, of all things, world language as kind of the first group to go through the curriculum review cycle process. And then moving towards next year, I think we were a little ambitious in terms of doing building-based teams with PD and curricula around the cycle itself, because we've met 4 times as a team, and it's a pretty iterative process. So trying to get the cycle right, trying to get the calendar right in terms of which subjects would be reviewed during different years has been a big lift. And then for culture responsive practices, as Dr. Maruszczyk mentioned, the MOA has been adopted with.
Can I stop you real quick? Anybody have a question? How about we just, for simplicity, people don't get lost. Any questions on the first one or comments? Okay, sorry, sir. We'll do it after each one.
So the MOA has been adopted. We've started collecting exemplars from our educators of evidence that reflects the new rubric that's already been doing. We've had professional development from Karen White on our PD Day related to culture responsive practices, and then Lynn Finney is running a book study with teachers to build capacity there. We're also working on instructional rounds with our K-6 teaching and learning team, developing a protocol related to our signature practices. We'll start piloting that in February and March. And then we're also excited to continue to share that we've got a co-teaching institute coming up in 26, 27. We've identified a partner that will be doing a needs assessment in the spring. And just a big thank you to Jen Healy for all the work that's gone into that. Third bullet, teaching and communicating and celebrating an upstander culture. So we've got a team of stakeholders will be gathering to begin the process of reviewing our bullying and intervention plan. With a target completion date by the end of May. The peer leader program continues to stay strong. They are doing a lot of extensive work implementing the Playbook Initiative, partnering with other schools in the area, Hanover and Old Rochester, to share best practices across the board. We've developed a one-year action plan to look at our curriculum related to what's going on in our specials and our other courses like a KIT, to see where pro-social behaviors are already occurring, and then also talking just to teachers about what the history in the past has looked like, so we can leverage the work that I'm doing with Castle as part of the fellowship to not only just bring more SEL and pro-social learning to the forefront, but also link it in with leadership so that SEL and leadership are seen as one and the same, because I think there's a lot of overlapping between those two. March, we've got a meeting with some schools across the country that are doing similar work.
Dr. Miller. Green light, please.
The curriculum piece, are the faculty also looking at tools that assist the curriculum, such as screen use? I've talked to a few people very recently, several of whom are educators or retired educators, and concerned about too much reliance on technology for activities that are not directly connected to learning. So I'm just asking the question if that's part of the conversation as you go through this.
Certainly, and I think one of, like, I think I mentioned earlier, just one of our signature practices is increasing the level of discourse, so the face-to-face interaction that goes on with schools, so building shared understanding, so yes.
Thank you.
And then, so for the collection and assessment of exit and school climate data, we've got, obviously, the DESA continues to be at the forefront for our elementary schools. We've also got Oak Ridge looking at piloting the Panorama survey. The district leadership team is trying to identify, spend some time today, looking at what we would identify as like the big high leverage data points that would indicate both areas of strength to communicate about culture and climate, but also areas where's the low-hanging fruit that we might be able to tap into student and family perspective to improve the overall culture and climate. We're still waiting on to try to develop the climate team. I think we're in the early stages of that, because once we have that team in place, we can then start to do the focus group. So we're a little bit more in the earlier stages than perhaps we would have liked on this piece, but the conversations continue to be ongoing.
One of the things, if I could add to this, part of our conversation is trying to identify key data points across all three schools that we feel are indicative of climate. Yes, we do at the high school administer the Panorama survey, which is a school climate survey, but we also want to look at markers such as things like attendance data, attendance of students, but also attendance of staff. We also want to take a look at disciplinary data, things of that nature, but also go deeper. Things like student support teams. To what degree are we implementing, say, something like tier 2 interventions, or interventions where a kid is struggling but does not necessarily have an IEP or a 504 plan? What does that data look like as far as successful resolution of those struggles and so on? So we're kind of taking that and trying to boil it down to have some type of comprehensive picture, which we'd like to present here at the school committee level by the conclusion of this school year. As far as the fifth, it is really around capital plan and where we are. We're tentatively planning 2 weeks from tonight to give a presentation on a finalized facilities condition assessment. We have it in draft form from Habib and Associates. So we'd like to finalize that and get that presented in 2 weeks. Michael Ryan has updated our 10-year capital plan, which is technically a town document. I think I put a link to it in there. And we're using that to kind of inform our capital request for FY27 to the town. A couple pieces here around maintenance software, and I think it comes up. Michael has worked with our automated system for repairs and tickets and work orders to ensure that automated prevent and maintenance jobs for all 3 schools and for central office are part of that software package now. And then there is an ongoing dialogue around improving our grounds, particularly at the high school. This is the first year in recent memory where there's actually been a fall fertilizer treatment and also a core aeration. Michael is connecting with a gentleman who has a local landscaping company who maintains the town's water district fields about coming up with a comprehensive turf management plan for our fields. So that's work that's ongoing, which we hope to progress through the spring months.
Before you go off that slide, well, first off, any questions there? I was going to mention this in acknowledgements. I'll do it now only because there's a view of the shiny Oak Ridge floor.
It is
which
very nice.
Which was actually refinished over the Christmas break because it actually was in a little rough shape. I can tell you right now that the Sandwich Rec basketball end of season championships are happening on that court right now. And I just want to say thank you to the facilities of supporting youth basketball all the way since November because the kids have had a great season. So.
It's like the top of the Chrysler building.
So what is the surface?
That's a wood. It is wood.
It looks like wood. Okay.
Oh, it's resurfaced. I think they used the gym as a staging area, part of the HVAC project last summer. So it was a little rough and at the start of the season, and they went in and basically resealed it. I'm not sure if it's whatever the lacquer or whatever they put.
Yeah,
down
it's
on it.
like they do a light sanding and then polyurethane.
Thank you. Word I couldn't come
Good
up
old
with.
days.
Yep. So looks good. So sorry. Back to you, sir.
Yeah, and then the big piece here is ensuring effective cleaning and maintenance. I know when Michael Ryan came in on July 1st, one of his first pieces that he got a lot of feedback, particularly from our 3 principals, was around open maintenance tickets in School Dude, which is our maintenance system. Anything that is not huge or involved has been resolved by last September. Another piece that he feels very, very strongly about is the whole notion of cross-training, where the idea of having custodians train in certain maintenance capacities and vice versa, particularly during downtimes. I mean, the best analogy that I can think of to kind of conceptualize it is think about the winter that we've had so far. And when you're getting hit with 16 inches of snow and you've got 2 days, it becomes an all hands on deck type notion. Realize it may not be as dramatic, but we have other things that pop up in the life of our schools that need that kind of all hands on deck approach. So I think part of this is just a cultural piece that he's trying to shape, a cultural piece around teamwork and everybody pitching in and pride and ownership in the job. So I think that physical presence piece that I have in the last bullet point is extremely important. And, I think it's 2 sides of a coin. It's accountability as, measured specifically around timely and effective evaluations of personnel, but also cultivating that teamwork sense as well. I do feel like we're making positive strides towards that end. One of the specific steps is around weekly meetings, myself and Michelle Austin with our facilities director, and also Michael and his assistant, Pete Lombardo, meeting with our 3 building principals. Those are happening on a weekly basis. Okay? And then, but last but not least, this will, in my humble opinion, always be a strategic initiative that we handle is what are we doing with regard to school safety and security? Two big pieces. Continuation of drills. We're kind of, over the last year and a half, we focused on evacuation drills where we would have full school populations go to a site like Corpus Christi and talk about the reunification. We're kind of doing it more internally to have complexity of simultaneously lockdown and evacuations and planning things like rally points and so on. So that work is a major focus for our district safety team. Also, I think we've talked a little bit about it, but we will probably in the next meeting or two talk about some of the current alert technology that is available that we're planning to move forward, quite possibly as a capital request for FY27. So think about alert technologies that can come through, say, a smart board or through strobe lights within the classroom and so on. So that's something that we're looking very much at. And then there's also one step here. I actually had to get clarification from Michael with respect to emergency power. And he said, well, and I said, you put that step there, like, you mean if we have a power outage, our auxiliary power doesn't go to life systems? He's like, no, it does. We have the lighting and so on. But the ideal would be to ensure that our HVAC and then our IT systems, think about our servers in the schools, are also connected to auxiliary power. So that's one of Michael's goals, to ensure that we have the appropriate wiring and infrastructure for that, and we actually test it by the conclusion of this school year. Any questions on any of those?
Dr. Miller.
Let's make a comment. At last night's Finance Committee meeting, Dr. Merschek did an excellent job in presentation, and the Finance Committee gave excellent questions, but toward the end of the discussion, one of the Finance Committee members asked the question, are we really spending enough money to maintain our schools and facilities? And that was very pleasing to me as one member of this committee. That's a change in sentiment. So, and again, that's a tribute to the building administrators and the superintendent and Mike, the new facilities director, for being all over this. And I think the committee was as looking forward to that report as we are. So that was encouraging to me.
Well, I think there's a small bit of credit to this table here. I'm not looking inward, I'm looking down the line, because I think we've changed the narrative a little bit over the past few years to increase the focus on facilities. So it's been a collective effort because it's not something you're going to change overnight by any stretch. Any other questions on this?
No, just a comment. I was just going to say, encouraging other town committees to come and tour the facilities in the school. I think that was really smart to do a few years ago.
Yeah.
Let people see it up close and personal.
Yeah.
And we were able to get the commitment of funds to actually do this study, which which is spending money to spend money, because there is going to be a price tag attached to it.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll put it on tap for kind of an end of year in June to.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next up is CPPI grant activities update.
So I want to take the time. I think I've been terribly remiss as superintendent, and in my 3.5 years, I've never had Lauren Galvano come until tonight. Lauren is our director of the Sandwich Preschool Partnership. Her work in this district has been exemplary, absolutely exemplary. And I think it boils down to this. She does a lot of work, not only within the district, but in the community at large, in creating programs and partnerships for our youngest learners, our 3 and 4-year-olds. And if you think about a lot of our families' first introduction to the Sandwich Public Schools, it's through the Sandwich Partnership. And the tone that Lauren sets, the professionalism, the programs that she sets up for children and for parents are second to none. I put this header under CPPI grant, and I think it was in June when we had the Secretary of Education come and visit, who is rapidly departing in the next week or so, to see the fine work, but realize Lauren has been responsible for over $3 million in state competitive grant money coming into our district to expand our operations, but also to prepare our community for universal pre-K. So I just kind of want to set the table, and I asked Lauren to come here to talk about some of the fine work that's been going on. So I'll shut up and I'll leave it to you, Lauren.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to come and share the work that we've been doing over the last 3.5 years. So if we could go to the first slide, I just want to highlight.
Is your light on?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is.
I was sitting out there going, oh, I hope it's on. So in Sandwich, we have approximately 20 licensed childcare providers, 9 of which are center-based, meaning there are multiple classrooms, and then 11 family childcare providers. Of those 20, 11 of them are considered partners. We work with them on a regular basis to achieve the goals of the grant. So I just wanted to highlight these programs have been working with us over the last 2 to 3 years. So it's really important to highlight the community's impact that we've been able to have in the community. If you could go to the second slide. I just wanted to kind of go over what the history is so you understand why we have this grant. As I mentioned, this has been happening for about 3.5 years now. In late 2021, early 2022, we had a planning grant to do a needs assessment within the community of providers, teachers, and families to say, what are we missing in Sandwich? What could we benefit from adding into our repertoire of things to help support families? So from that, we were then able to, were awarded from the Department of Early Education and Care a $750,000 grant, where we were able to work in these 3 areas to expand access of affordable, high-quality programming, to increase and align our program quality so that it is matching up with that of the school district in certain areas, and then access to an itinerant team, which I will break that out in a little bit, which is kind of our highlight of what we get to do within the community. So the first, if you could go, thank you. We're able through the grant to provide scholarship support to families within the community. Many families have applied for a child care voucher. However, the wait list is very long. It unfortunately hasn't moved for one family for over 3 years. So we've been able to support that family with a full scholarship for their child, so mom and dad can go to work, their child can go to a high-quality environment, learn through play, and continue on their educational journey as a 3, 4, and now 5-year-old. Also, we are prioritizing those families, knowing that if they are qualifying for a voucher, that they are the most needed in our community. The second is to access parenting workshops. I'm also the coordinator for the Sandwich Partnership for Families, which coordinates with the other coordinators on the island and the Cape to provide 7 free parenting workshops, one later this month around children with disabilities. If anyone would like information, please reach out. But we've offered those to all of our preschool families and make sure that we connect those through all of our partners. And then lastly, they have access to our social worker, who is Rachel Darsh. She's been with the school district for many years. She's now working on the itinerant team and offers her support and expertise to families in times of need. If you continue. The next area, which also continues with Rachel and her work, is through aligning our socio-emotional learning through our ruler curriculum. This is what is used at Forestdale. That stands for recognizing your emotions and these emotions in others, understanding what causes these emotions and consequences of those emotions, labeling, expressing, and then regulating our emotions. So a child coming in at 5 years old into a kindergarten classroom that has these experiences of understanding what my emotions look like, how they feel, what that looks like to someone else, how to begin to self-regulate is a huge step ahead instead of coming in not knowing any of those skills. So that was one of our really important points, that we wanted children to start learning those guidelines. It also helps our preschool community teachers understand them, start reiterating them, and combining that into their classroom curriculum. Lastly, for this point, is to increase the quality of programs. So we go in, we have our itinerant team as well as other specialists come into our preschool partners, observe their classroom practices, provide professional development around those practices, and help them develop their own professional development plans to help them increase their own personal quality. And then last is having equitable access to special education and inclusion. This is where our itinerant team comes in. We have a full-time special educator that travels to all of our partners in the district. We have 2 speech and language pathologists that go out to our partners. We have an OT as well as a PT, and then also Rachel and our social worker going out into our programs. And what they're able to do is to provide IEP services, 504 services, as well as RTI, which is if a child is not qualifying for an IEP but would benefit from supportive services still, that they are getting those in their classroom setting. So we are meeting the children actually where they're at and where their families are choosing to send them for preschool, and providing these important services to those children. Additionally, because we want to track how well we're doing and how well this grant is, we're screening all 3 and 4-year-olds, 3 and 4-year-olds, excuse me, as well as doing our pre-kindergarten screenings. At Forestdale over the summer, they go through the rising kindergartners. Parents schedule a time to come in, and they go through the screening process. What we're able to do is to provide those in the comfort of their child care program throughout the year, so that we know if a child is falling behind, if they could use some support, or if they need to have a full evaluation with IEP services. Additionally, today, as it was Wednesday, we hold an integrated playgroup at Forestdale. So we have our integrated preschool teacher, one of them comes over and joins our group. We have our regular educators that are there to run our free playgroups, and then our itinerant team joins in as well. We had a little guy join us from EI last week. We had another little friend come today with her specialist, as well as her mom. I have a feeling we're going to see them again tomorrow at our playgroup, because it really gives the family an opportunity to not only watch their children play with their peers, but they get to speak to people that really know the education field and can help further guide them in their choices. And then lastly, our team has developed take-home kits, which I find fantastic. They're able to create speech and language activities that parents can do at home, and they can borrow it like a lending library take-home kit. So it's something that's really pushed into the community. It's not just in one location, but anyone has access to these things. So I've shared all of these things. I could talk forever about it, but why is this important? One, we're meeting families where they're at. Parents choose childcare programs based on their needs. If they are working full-time, 5 days a week, 9 to 5, they need a childcare program that can meet those needs. So we're meeting them where they're choosing to send their child. We're also providing support to the children and family, but also the teachers in our community, and trying to elevate their skills and their expertise to better serve children down the line. And obviously, we want to increase school readiness for children. Circling back to the ruler curriculum, if children are starting to recognize and understand feelings at a younger age, that will only put them a step above once they enter kindergarten. And our hope is that eventually we're partners with all preschools in town, and we can really know all of the children entering kindergarten. By building these relationships with our families, we're better able to help support them as they enter kindergarten. If we know a child might benefit from, they're very busy and they shouldn't be placed with another child who's very busy, that helps our teachers in kindergarten better plan their classrooms. We also are able to connect with our specialists within Forestdale and our itinerant team to pass off important notes that may not come up on an evaluation, but things that are really special to a child that might help them better achieve school readiness. So, lastly, my big spiel that I always kind of circle back to is that children deserve access to supportive services no matter what preschool they're attending, and that the parents' needs and desires for their child preschool choice should not hinder their child from receiving the supportive services that they need.
Dr. Miller.
Do you aggregate student outcome data and then monitor as they make that transition to kindergarten and beyond? And how do you connect? Obviously, student confidentiality is important, but if you don't do it on an individual basis, at least on some aggregate, so that you're seeing some concrete impact
Yes.
of your
So
fabulous interventions.
one of the requirements of the grant is that we do track our children and what services they're receiving. So that is something that we are supplying with the parents' permission to the state. Internally, we eventually would like to see what their success looks like on MCAS in 3rd grade. So we're really only in our first year where we have children that may have been with us at 3 and 4, and they're now about to enter kindergarten. So that is our long-term hope, is that we can have the data to support how important this program is to the community.
Ms. Benda.
So are you working closely with early intervention if a child is graduating early intervention and then will be introduced to the Sandwich schools? Are you like the first person that they come in contact with?
I am not the first person, but I am one of the first
One of the-
people. So
okay.
they are usually working with Suzanne Pertigo, who is our preschool coordinator for the integrated preschool. So she works closely with EI, and if one of the questions she asks is, are you already in a preschool or a family care setting? If so, she refers us into that meeting so that we can connect and that child doesn't need to leave that program.
Wonderful, great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, Ms. Goodwin.
Just a comment. Thank you for the work that you're doing and the whole team. I mean, it's transformative kind of work and sets children up for every other phase. And I don't know that people always recognize it. It's really important. So I'm glad that we got to have you fill us in tonight and anyone listening.
I appreciate it, and thank you again for having me. And if anyone would like to join our leadership team, please feel free to reach out. Or if you want to come and play at our playgroups, we're there every morning at Forestdale. So thank
It
you all.
is a wonderfully tricked out room at
It is
Forestdale.
so good.
It is great space with a lot of fun things. So
Thank you so very much. Do appreciate all you do. Unless there's an objection for the table, just out of courtesy for our Director of Technology, since we've been running a little bit long, I was going to move him up in the agenda as well, so he can come up and if he's ready. And we can deal with the school calendar later. Not keep anybody here for it.
How's it going?
Good. Long time no see.
No, it feels like I was just here a week ago.
you
Us
were.
too.
So I just divided the present. Ooh, this actually works for me. I divided the presentation tonight up into 3 kind of groups. First one's communications. Some of you may have noticed that we have a new website. It was launched December 15th. And that was actually one of the things I noticed when I was applying for the job here, that the old website was very hard to navigate, especially on the mobile version. And I started working here and found out that 2 weeks later we were launching the new website, which was great. Besides easier navigation, it's helping us out with ADA compliance. It's a lot more mobile friendly. It will actually integrate with Parent Square, which is our new communication system. This is an example of the website here. It's got all the information, lots of current pictures of students. We don't have students that graduated high school already in elementary school. Like, at the same time, or few months before, we launched Parent Square, which I'm sure you're all aware of. We're getting decent usage of it. I still like to see 100% of our families using Parent Square, using the app. We're probably about 60 to 70% right now. Once again, that makes us more ADA compliant. It translates all our communications to any language pretty much. I think there's 100 languages available. It's also, you can use that for both one and two-way communications. So it's, you can make like the poster, like your Facebook, things like that, or you can do direct messaging to families where they can message you back. So between the website and Parent Square, and actually the website is a Parent Square product, so they really do talk to each other well. Between the two of those, I think that the district's communications have improved quite a bit. And we even have videos that play live on the website without you having to click on them or anything like that. This is a day in the life of a student at Forestdale School.
Looks familiar, right, Kevin?
Which is a great video. If you haven't watched it, I suggest you check it out.
That's so great.
The superintendent and I got to do that, do the pledge with the kids on
Couple
the
Fridays ago?
Kindness Challenge. It was
Oh,
awesome.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And by dumb luck, one of the kids was my next door neighbor. What were the odds? I mean, so, sorry, sir.
So, to Mike's point, I would invite you, if you have the opportunity, just to kind of explore the website. Particularly, I just find, I don't think it's completely perfect, but I think you'll find that it's a lot more functional, and finding specific pieces is just a lot easier and a lot streamlined. I want to give Mike credit, but I also want to give Amanda Giacomo a ton of credit. She has been, her efforts have been Herculean in this category, particularly when we had a gap where, Bryce moved on before Michael could come on board. So, again, I think it's a work in progress, but I think it is a far superior product from a lot of different perspectives, particularly the accessibility aspect. Far, far superior. So, I'm sorry, Mike.
Not at all. If you see anything missing from the website, please let me know. We occasionally find things that aren't there, but I think it's pretty comprehensive right now. We'll go to the next slide. The next area I'm focusing on is safety and security, which is a big aspect. Right now we're about 90% complete with phase 2 of the camera system for the schools. We still have a few cameras that need to be installed. We're waiting on the ground to thaw at the high school to get power to some of the poles those cameras are going on. And we're waiting on some software updates to get the license plate reader cameras working. And so all the schools will have license plate readers, so we'll be able to track any car coming in or out of the buildings. And the radar controlled cameras are really cool. They have radar devices so they can track a car or a person walking around the property and zoom in and follow them all automatically. So if we have any issues on a playground or something after hours, rather than trying to pick out a little spot on a video, the software automatically does that for us. As it was mentioned earlier in Dr. Marushik's presentation, we're working on some visual notification systems. The elementary schools, they can be quite loud. Sometimes you don't hear the fire alarms too well. And if you're hearing impaired, obviously you're not going to hear them at all. So Michael Ryan and I met with a vendor about 2 weeks ago to go over some of the ideas about getting the strobes, the colored strobes installed in every classroom. And actually that vendor and some of the installers are coming down the week after February vacation to go over some different options with us. But the idea is that these strobes are kind of a visual notification of any alarms. They can integrate right into our fire alarm system and have the red strobes go on them. But they also have different color strobes available built into the same device, so we'll be able to use those with like a blue strobe for any safety messaging. And at the same time, we're looking into being able to connect our alert systems to the digital displays in the classroom. So if there's an emergency situation, we want to get some information out to the different classrooms, it could automatically come right up on the screens in the front of classrooms. This is the summer. We plan on replacing the Wi-Fi at the high school and Oak Ridge School. All those access points that are in every classroom, they're hitting the end of their usable life in December, so we kind of have to replace them before then. We've applied for E-rate funding for that, so we're only have to pay for about 50% of the cost of it, which is great, and actually the pricing came in really great. It was a lot less than we were expecting. And at the same time, we want to start putting the digital displays, those smart boards in every classroom, onto the walls in the high school. If you go into Forestdale and Oak Ridge, you see they're all mounted on the walls, but at the high school, they're on these big carts, take up a lot of space, and then you have wires hanging off. People trip over those wires, they get injured, they do damage to the equipment. So by putting them on the walls, you're getting more space in the classroom, so you're improving some classroom functionality and reducing maintenance and any potential safety hazards. On top of that, we're replacing the Chromebooks in grades 7, 10, and 3 like we do every summer. And the kindergarten iPads, each kindergarten class has 5 iPads. Last year, they supplemented them with 5 of the touchscreen Chromebooks. And those iPads, in June, I believe, hit the end of their usable life where they won't get updates anymore. And working with Forestdale, we've decided that instead of replacing them with more iPads, we're going to replace them with more of those touchscreen Chromebooks, so they get a little bit better functionality. So rather than having 5 iPads, 5 touchscreen Chromebooks, we're hoping to have minimum of 10 of the Chromebooks, if not more. I know Mr. D would like to have one for every student in kindergarten. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that this year or not, but that's the goal.
Any questions? Lots going on. I appreciate all the work.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hear something? Okay. These are all the things behind the scenes. Well, I mean, the boards, people see the boards, but nobody notices until it stops working. And everything's working, and I see improvements on the horizon, so thank you very much, especially the security piece, I think, is very, very important, so thank you for all you do.
You mentioned nobody notices unless it's not working. I always say, if I do my job well, you don't know I'm here.
Exactly.
Just like a good ref, right?
I noticed when the lunch menus stopped working.
Yeah. What's going on with the lunch
Most important part of the
menu?
day.
I was like, oh no.
I know.
All right.
Hit the ground running, for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And you get the next meeting off. Don't worry about it. There you go. Back to the superintendent's update. Anything else from you, sir?
That's all I got.
Dr. Miller mentioned it briefly earlier. Can you maybe just quick synopsis on the FinCom last night?
Pretty straightforward presentation. Kind of summarized what we did during the 3 meetings in January. I thought very, very good questions related to some of the different cost centers, some feedback. There was some discussion and questions regarding, I see us as kind of a corollary, but I know that there's been some discussion about the line item of different tuitions, you know, vis-a-vis Upper Cape Tech or charter schools and so on. So there's some questions and discussion related to that, but I think all in all, they were appreciative of where our budget was, the quality of information and the quality of detail that was presented.
All right. Thank you for going. And Dr. Moreau, I think you went, right?
We had a whole crew.
Were you there?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Yes.
I
We represented Kevin.
I bailed and went to Martha's Vineyard to watch the girls basketball team clinch the Cape and Islands title for the season. So, and watch my senior daughter. What's that? Yes, ma'am. So that's superintendent's update. Moving on to old business. Next up is the 2026-27 school calendar, second reading and vote to approve.
So really the only substantive change since last meeting was the whole discussion around that November PD day. Our district leadership team plus the joint labor management team discussed it. We decided to move it to the 20th, to the week after rather than the week before, because realize Dave and Jen in planning PD, they really want to get as many faculty members to contribute. So not that it's a huge difference, but probably giving a little bit more time in November to the 20th versus the 6th. So that was the mindset to going to the 20th, so that we're not on the 13th, not having those two missing, two non-school days during that second week of November.
Any questions? I think there were some, the handout that some of you have, it's some minor difference that was in the read ahead, and it just has to do with kindergarten screenings, which I think are just 1 day now. I think the original version said 2. Mm-hmm. Thanks for taking a look at it. I know I asked the question about the 13th. I had no agenda either way, but I appreciate you taking a look at it.
No, it makes more sense. It does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And for those who don't read the superintendent's background comments, was yes, it would make a less disruptive learning week, but November itself is just generally disruptive. I like that.
In general.
Yeah.
Shows you I read it. So if there's no questions, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the 2026-2027 school calendar as presented in the second reading of it.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? I will just make one comment. As there always is, somebody on Facebook, I'm not sure what page it was lamenting the fact that we're going to start school before Labor Day this year. But if we didn't, the kids would be pushing up towards the end of June and into July. So it's actually in the school policy. It's if the
September 3rd is the magic date.
Yeah, if it's the 4th or later, we go before. And I think it's
as late as it can be.
They may not like us in September, but they'll thank us in June. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0. Old business. Other topics not anticipated by the chair. I have none. On to new business. We'd already completed the Montreal field trip. And just as a reminder, the reason we do those, any overnight trip or out-of-state trip, we have to approve. Reaffirmation of school choice.
So this is on the agenda. I think this is just kind of good transparency, for lack of a better term. And it's kind of a housekeeping item, but per our policy, and then I also put a link in the background memo to the 2019 Interdistrict School Choice Advisory Memo. We don't technically have to do this. Technically, by state regs, you would have to take a formal vote if you were to choose to not be a school choice district, and there are districts, particularly in that 128 belt outside of Boston, that choose not to do it. But I think it's a healthy policy to reaffirm that we are a school choice district. Just for informational purposes, for this current school year, we presently have 151 students choicing into our district. Conversely, we have 68 students choicing out. So we're in a good place because that's over a 2-to-1 ratio. And that has fiscal implications. It's roughly about $5,000 per student that's sent to us from sending communities.
And just to comment on that, obviously it costs more than $5,000 to educate a student, but this is only where we have space available. So it's not all the sunk costs of the building, the teacher, all that stuff is already there. And then we only allow folks to come in where there is space. So it does not actually incur an additional burden on Sandwich taxpayers.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
It actually allows us to offset some costs with the revenue. So I will, and again, as you said, we don't have to, it's been the committee's past practice is the alumni here who've been here a little bit longer than some others. We've always done it just to affirm it in town. I think it's a good practice. So If there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we reaffirm our school choice status as presented tonight.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Benenda, second by Ms. Goodwin. Any discussion? See none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? Passes unanimously 6-0. We will remain a school choice district. Other topics not anticipated by the chair. I have none. Subcommittee reports. Ms. Adams. Green light, please.
Hello. The policy subcommittee met tonight. We made our way through the I folder, which officially concludes our work on the policy manual. So we will have the I folder available for all of you for a first reading at the next meeting.
All right. Look forward to it.
I hope Christine Brown is listening and seeing that it's completed. Thank you for all of that work, to all of you on the policy subcommittee.
I miss it so. Liaison, any other subcommittees not listed? Yes.
Right. Truly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
I remember when we started this, I'm like, oh, we can get this done.
It started with Kevin, Christine Brown, and Mike Pell.
Yes. Wow.
So.
That's great. Thanks. Those are-
Next up is Liaison Advisory Committee reports.
I just have one for the Sandwich CPAC. Just an announcement. It's gone out in Parent Square as well. There's going to be a general meeting on Tuesday, February 24th at the Oak Ridge Library at 6 p.m. General meeting, and Dr. Jen Healy will be there to answer any questions about special ed, and hot chocolate will be served. So 6 p.m.
That's a way to get them there.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else? Seeing none. Warrants.
I make a motion that we approve the warrants tonight that we signed.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Benenda, second by Ms. Goodwin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0. Next up is our second public forum of the evening. Would anybody like to come forward for public forum? Seeing none. Moving on to future agenda items. Dr. Miller.